Okay, hello everyone. So Lar with another live stream. This live stream we're focusing on IELTS writing task 2, and that's the same for general training and academic IELTS. So if you're doing the IELTS test, this is suitable for you. So basically what I have is a task 2 question, and I'm going to go through it as much as we can in 1 hour. And I'm going to get you to give me your ideas. I'm going to tell you if your ideas are appropriate, if you have any issues, what issues you have, how to overcome those issues. So basically just giving you general advice based on, whatever issues you're having with your responses. So that's pretty much it. Hello, Bien. Good to see you here again. So that's pretty much the idea here. Normally, when I do these lessons, I start off by getting you guys to write the paraphrase, but it usually takes up quite a bit of time. So I wrote a paraphrase for this lesson, just so we can get straight into the main ideas today. Hey, Baljinder, I'm doing good. Thank you. All right, so let's have a look at this question. Okay, so it's this. In the modern world, it's important for individuals to know how to manage their personal finances well. Some argue that this skill should be taught in school. Okay, so to paraphrase that, basically what I would recommend is just go piece by piece. So start off with the first piece. In the modern world, paraphrase that. Then it's important for individuals, paraphrase that. So just do it one piece at a time. This is what I came up with. These days, it's crucial that people can organize their personal finances effectively. Now, the thing is, the most common mistake that students make with paraphrases is that they try to use none of the words from the question. Now, you change as many words as you can, and you shouldn't just copy the question directly. You have to change as much as you can. But a lot of students, they're afraid to copy words from the question. It's actually the most common mistake, is that students and candidates try so hard to change every word that it either doesn't have the same meaning or it has no meaning. So it's completely fine to copy some of the words from the question. So for example, I have personal finances, and I said even their personal finances, their personal finances. So like, if you don't know another phrase that has the same meaning, that's fine. Okay, so this question is a little bit different in that it's asking you to do two things. To what extent do you agree or disagree? And what other measures do you think might be effective? Now, the reason that this might be a bit confusing is because you will often see a question like this. It'll just say, to what extent do you agree or disagree? And in that situation, I will always say to you, say if you agree or say if you disagree, and support that opinion with two main ideas. But that's when it's the only question that you're being asked. That's when it's the only thing you're being asked to do. So it's absolutely fine to say, if it's that question, to just say I agree or disagree and give two reasons to support. However, because there are other things going on in this question, it also says, what other measures do you think might be effective? So what we're going to do here is we're going to say if we agree or disagree, but we're just going to have one main idea. Okay? Because we don't want to include more ideas than we have to. And the fewer ideas we need, generally the easier it is to write the answer. Okay, the second question. What other measures do you think might be effective? I need to be really careful here because it says measures. That's plural. Not what other measure, but what other measures you think might be effective. We're going to include two main ideas. So we're going to include two measures. But that's what we're doing. One idea to say why we agree or why we disagree, and two main ideas about basically two measures that might be effective. Okay, so that brings us to the first task which I have for you guys today, which is what main ideas can we use? Okay, so that's your first task for today's live stream. What main ideas can we use? Hi Sadaf, good to see you here. UH Shah, hello, welcome to the lesson. Tinashi, hello to you. Or we can start by saying how. You've lost me there, Sadaf. Sorry, I've missed that question now. If you write out your question in full, I'll definitely answer it for you, but I'm not sure what you're asking at the moment. Hello, Mary. Welcome. Hanan, I'm doing very good. Thank you. Sapida, hello. And Maravik, hello to you again. Good to see you here, Maravik. Okay, so back to the task. What main ideas can we use? So why might someone agree or why might someone disagree? Don't worry about your real opinion. We don't care too much about what you really think. What we care about is, can you think of a main idea that is relevant and specific? So let's say you really agree, but you can only think of a main idea for disagreeing, then just say you disagree. Okay, so one reason why you agree or why you disagree, and two main ideas for the second question. What measures can we use? Hello, Irfath. Hello to you. Welcome. To paraphrase the prompt, we should start by how. I don't see how you could use how to paraphrase in the modern world. So you want to paraphrase the part that says in the modern world first. So I don't know how I would do that with the word how. If you could do it accurately with the word how, definitely, but I can't think of something at the moment. It's going to have to be like these days, in modern times, nowadays, something like that. I can't imagine how the word how would be suitable. Okay, while you guys are working on your main idea, I know most of you here have already subscribed to are already my email subscribers, but just for the few of you who are new, I have live feedback lessons on Zoom every week. And and you can sign up for those with that link. So free live feedback lessons on Zoom. Those are my group classes on Zoom every week for my email subscribers. However, I'm actually moving back to my country next week, so I won't be doing these for a few weeks. But you can sign up and the schedule is already there, so you'll see which lessons are coming up and you will see the times and the dates and all of that. The system has changed and we need the ideas of some experts. I don't think, this isn't in response to the question on the screen by the looks of things. I'm not sure what you're referring to, but it doesn't seem like a response to the question we're looking at here. So I'm a bit confused. If you can explain in more detail, of course, I'll be happy to help. Hello, Fiesa. Welcome back to another lesson. Paraphrase properly, change the words, make it sound different. It is crucial, it is vital. To what extent means take one side, support with two reasons, why you agree or disagree, and then what other measures, this is plural, include two measures, what main ideas can be used, why might someone agree or disagree. Yeah, good. I think that's a summary of what I've said so far. I'm not sure if you're repeating what I said or explaining what to do, but either way, I agree with what you've written. Sharafat, disagree because I reckon is too informal for the writing test, Sharafat. So you would have to say like I think, I believe. So disagree because I believe it would be a burden for students to manage those things in their school life. Good. That makes sense. Okay. Okay, let's actually add this to the introduction we already had. So this was the paraphrase. I'm going to say I personally agree with this view because it would be a burden on the school children. Good. So now what we're left with is we need two measures. Okay. Managing financial issue is important issue and needs fundamental training. So again, is this why you agree? But that would be too vague. Why does it need fundamental training? Why should students study it at school? So if you agree, you can't just say like, I agree because it's important. You have to say why you think it's important. So you'll need something more specific than that idea. How to learn grammar in English for good. Find out what your main mistakes are. Find out what your main mistakes are first and just focus on those. I'm not going to go into it in too much detail here because I want to focus on the question on the board. But basically, find the rules that you're making mistakes with, study them, do lots of active reading where you analyze that grammar being used in newspapers or books or magazines or websites, wherever. So find the rules that you can't use properly, analyze them being used in texts, then start using them yourself, and then use them yourself in writing, and then introduce it into your speaking. But focus on something very specific. So don't just try to improve grammar. Find out where are you making mistakes. Are you making mistakes with articles? Are you making mistakes with tenses, subject verb agreement? Find out first what area you need to focus on, and then just focus on one small area like that. Okay, Farouz. Disagree, schools should focus on vital subjects. No, but why? Why should they focus on vital subjects? So no, that's too vague. So the idea is that it's important to be able to manage your finances. And you said, yeah, but they shouldn't study it at school because they need to study the important subjects. See, the idea is that we're all agreeing that it is important that people can manage their finances, but what we're agreeing or disagreeing with is whether it should be taught at schools. So why should they focus on vital subjects? That's what you need to tell me. And this is typical of a vague idea, but when you have a vague idea, you just ask yourself, how or why is it a vital subject? And that will give you some specific ideas. 2, by taking online courses. So does everybody take the online courses? When do they take the online courses? Parents could teach their children instead. That makes sense. Okay. So the second idea is right. By taking online courses, is it going to be the school children who are taking online courses? Or are they going to wait until they're, in adulthood? They wait until they're earning money and then they take online courses. So just need to be a little bit clearer with that idea number 2 there. Okay, so Vidya, I agree learning in school is a good idea because 1, students are receptive. Good. 2, it is as important as science and linguistics. Why is it as important as science and linguistics? Also, you only need one idea for your opinion, so you'll have to choose one. Sadaf, money management is a skill of knowledge to manage the personal finances. This isn't relevant. This isn't relevant at the moment, Sadaf. So I don't know, are you writing a paraphrase? But it's not on topic either. Okay. It can. What is the better way? So that at the moment you haven't given me a main idea, and make sure when you're writing it that you write specifically, I agree with this because, or I disagree with this because. Make it really, really clear that you're giving your opinion, and then you'll need to say why is it better. Like better is very vague. Like I might think it's better, and you might think it's better, but we might think it's better for different reasons. But when you have a specific idea, I'll know exactly what your reason is. But at the moment, I might be able to think of, 4 or 5 reasons why it's better, but I don't know which reason you are thinking of. And that's why this is too vague. You need to tell me specifically why it is better. And you also need to tell me specifically whether you agree or disagree. That's really important because you're not doing what you've been asked to do if you just give the main idea without saying, what your opinion is. So to what extent do you agree or disagree? I completely agree because, and then your idea, or I completely disagree, and then your idea. So be careful with those 2 things, Sadaf. Very welcome, no problem. Sharafat, instead of taught in school, it can be taught to those in college as well as during work. That makes sense. That makes sense. Instead, we'll teach it to people as part of their training at work and as part of their college education. And that is 2 measures. That makes sense. Good. I'm going to see if there's anything else here, Sharafat, just because I took your ideas already, but those ideas are suitable. Good. I disagree, as students learn them actively by practicing them in daily life, not by school lessons. Good. Yep. Maybe just say, maybe like students learn them more effectively by practicing them in daily life, not in school lessons, not in lessons at school. So I would change actively to effectively, and that would make it a little bit clearer. I personally agree because such financial management need to learn from an early age. Okay, that is suitable. That's a suitable idea. We should teach it at school because it needs to be taught at a young age. But you'll have to explain clearly why it has to be learned, why it needs to be learned from an early age in your body paragraph. And my concern is not that you can't do it, but when I think personally, when I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking, why does it need to be learned at an early age? Why is it that would happen? Now, maybe you can think of why, and if you can, that's perfect. but I personally can't think of how I would explain that. You know, is it because they can't learn it when they're older? Is it because like kids nowadays are given money and they're expected to save their money or save for the things that they want? I don't know. I'm trying to imagine how you would explain that. So as long as you have an idea, this idea is, as long as you know how you'll explain it, this idea is fine. Hello, Prav. Suvidia, good. Other effective measures for FinEdu. 1. Compulsory subject in college. Banks can organize financial education camps. So banks should be responsible. Okay, so let's go with that. Let's go with that first idea anyway, because both of you and Sharafat said that. And what was the other idea? And banks should organize. Okay, so I'm going to say, and banks should organize training on this for new customers. Okay. So the bank should be responsible for teaching this, and they teach it at university instead of school. Okay. So I think it's pretty straightforward. I think the first main idea is pretty straightforward in that the kids are already very busy at school. They have many subjects and they have exams to prepare for. They have lots of homework to do. Right. So we shouldn't be giving them extra things to study because they already have a very limited amount of free time. And it's really important that they use that free time to relax and enjoy their youth. Okay, so pretty straightforward. That's how we would explain that idea. Next one. Instead, I believe this should be taught to students at university. Now, actually, I'm going to remove I believe because it didn't say what other measures. Oh, it does. It says, do you think? That's fine. So I believe that this should be taught to students at university. Now, what I would be worried about is that when you try to explain why it should be taught at universities, am I going to end up with saying, like, avoiding the fact that the kids at school are too busy? So that's kind of what I'm worried about is why are the university students not too busy? Are we avoiding the issue? So that's kind of my concern here at the moment. And that's why I want you to develop this idea. So how are you going to explain this idea? Sorry, I'm just trying to get everything on screen so we can see the question and the introduction at the same time. So that's our introduction there. So what I'm interested is, how can we develop this idea that it should be taught to students at university instead of taught to students at school? And that's an important distinction. It's not just why should it be taught to students at university, but we're saying it should be taught to students at university instead of teaching it to children at school. So we're going to have to clearly make that distinction. So we can't go back and say it should be taught to students at university because it's very important that they know that. No, that's not okay. We can't say it's important that they know that. It's important that everybody knows it. So we're going to have to particularly say, why is it that teaching it to students at university is better than teaching it to students at school? And that's the thing. That's the area that, before I see your ideas, that's what I would worry will go wrong. Basically, I've been looking at a lot of IELTS writing, and a lot of students development for a very long time. And I can kind of see already that that's where it's going to go wrong. So after that advice, tell me, how can we develop this idea? Okay, Sadaf. Everyone has to learn their finances and children are no different. Therefore, I agree with the argument that money management should be taught in higher schools. This practice will enable them to prepare for their future. So I feel like you're not approaching this directly enough. Everybody needs to know it, so why not? Yeah, so that's kind of what you're saying with this Sadaf. So you're not saying, they like, you can see with the disagree reason that we have on the screen. I disagree because it's a burden to the students. That's a reason why we shouldn't. But you're saying we should do it because, well, why not? Why shouldn't we do it? So you're more putting it back on the reader, going like, well, you tell me why we shouldn't, instead of saying specifically this is why we should. So we say something along the lines of, like, kids nowadays tend to have more pocket money than kids in the past. So it's important that they learn how to uh, manage their personal finances while they're young, instead of forming bad habits. So I guess the main idea would be, I completely agree, because they need to form this habit before it's too late, something like that. But what you've said is just too open, in that, like, we should do it because it's a good idea, or we should do it because, well, everybody needs to know. So you need to narrow it down more than that. It's a bit vague at the moment. So Fian helps students who are major in business and management, and will also guide them if they are aiming to run a business or create a company in the future. Is that relevant or makes sense? It does make sense. But the main idea we had is that it's going to be taught to all students at university, not just the ones studying business and management. Now, the reason that it's not relevant is that I could say that, so we've just said, it's because we've just said that they shouldn't learn it at school. We've just said that children shouldn't learn it at school. So if I said, I could have said this about children at school. Children should learn it at school because it will guide them if they're aiming to run a business or create a company in the future. So if I've just said that they shouldn't learn it at school, then my reason for why they should learn it at university, shouldn't be a reason why they should also study it at school. So we've put ourselves in a situation where we're saying university is better than school. So we have to address that. So it does make sense, but it's not relevant, because it doesn't really show why we don't want it to be taught to kids at school anymore. Regarding other measures, I think it is also the responsibility of parents to instill the sense of wise spending. Yeah, that makes sense, in that, like, it shouldn't be the job of the school. It should be the job of the parents. That's fine. That makes complete sense. And then just explain, you need to explain. And again, this is where candidates will most likely go wrong with that idea. They'll explain how the parents can teach the children, or something like that. Like, the ways that parents, or the activities, or the process by which parents can teach the children. But we don't need that. We just need to hear why it should be the parents' responsibility. So when you're explaining that, make sure you're explaining why why that means that it shouldn't be taught at school, because that's the the thing that you're disagreeing with. So if you choose that idea and you want to develop it, don't forget the question is about some argue this skill should be taught in school. So you need to talk about it in the context of the question, not just talk about parents teaching their children. You have to keep it in the context of the question. You just lost your comment, did you, Little Wolf? Do you have a Facebook account? So this is streaming on YouTube and on Facebook, and the Facebook comments don't have a word limit or a character limit. So if you have a Facebook account, Little Wolf, let me know and I'll send you the link. Okay, Sharafat. Because everyone should know how to spend money in a proper way, otherwise lack of knowledge can make them poor in the future. Again, no. Because it's a solution to why. What other measures do you think might be effective? No. No, because it has to be in the context of this skill should be taught in school. So we have to keep it in that context. Okay. Topic sentence for paragraph 1. Financial management should be compulsory subject in schools while the world is becoming more competitive in nature. Okay, so I agree because the world is becoming more competitive. Good. Yep, good. Sapida, I personally agree because such financial management should be learned from an early age. Some student would be given money as a regular basis at school. By learning this skill, they could manage. Yeah, good. Okay, I'm just going to wait, let's say another 2 minutes. And if none of you come up with like an appropriate way to develop this idea, I will show you how to do it. Or if you just want to put in the comments, say, I'm struggling, this is too difficult, just help us, I can help you. Because obviously we're not in the same room. I don't know if you're currently typing something out saying, you've got something coming, or if you're just thinking, I can't do this, this is too tough. So give me a little bit of feedback there. But if I don't see anything in the next minute or so, I'm just going to kind of support you a bit closer in this. Also, while I'm waiting for you, let me just share my essay correction service, my practice IELTS speaking test service, and my IELTS courses with you in the comments. So link here, one-on-one corrections and IELTS courses. So by corrections, I mean essay corrections and also practice IELTS speaking tests. And then courses for speaking and writing and listening and reading support as well. So you'll find those there. Okay. Let me support you a little bit. What I want in this development, so we're talking about it should be learnt at universities, fine. What do university students have that school children don't have? Why is it better that these people study it than these people study it? So there has to be some change in the way that they look at life, some change in their possessions, maybe some change in their schedules. But there must be some reason. Okay, so I'll leave that with you for another 2 minutes. But what do university students have that makes it better for them? Or what's different about university students that makes it better for them to study this than for the school children to study this? That's essentially what we're looking for. Okay, Sharafat. It's a burden for school students because they have already many academic subjects, as well as I think that thinking about money in a little age is not good for them. Okay, that's fine, but we're looking at the other idea. We're looking at your other idea, Sharafat. It should be taught to students at university. So for the first paragraph, while we're explaining why we disagree, we said it's a burden on children, and then this is fine. This is appropriate development, but it's not the part of the essay that we're focusing on at the moment. Teaching it at school is not important because managing of personal finance is a skill needed for adults. Okay. So is this why they should learn it at university instead? This does make sense. So we're saying instead of teaching it to school children, we should teach it to students at university. When they're at university, they've already become adults, and it's at this point in their lives where they are starting to spend money and manage their own finances. Therefore, you're teaching the skill to the people who actually need it right now, as opposed to teaching it to them when they're at school and they don't really have the opportunity to put that skill into practice. There you go. So that makes sense, and that is suitable. Hey, Mozam. Love from Pakistan. Good to see you here. Little Wolf, hold on. I'm writing it on Facebook. No problem. Yep. Sidipa, by learning this skill, they could manage their money for buying snacks, clothes, and so on. Leading students in a long run would enable them in the future to be expert in money management. Okay, but this is why they should learn money management. This isn't why they should learn it at university. So we've just said they shouldn't learn it at school, and now we're saying they should learn it at university. So this, what you've written, is why they should learn it at school or at university, or just why they should learn it. But we're saying specifically, instead of learning it at school, we should learn it at university. So this is too vague. It doesn't address it directly enough. Because university is the last chapter of their studies and will open the door for a better career. Well, I know it's the last chapter of their studies, but that to me is not a reason why they should not learn it at school and learn it at university instead. So yes, it is the last chapter, but why does being the last chapter make it the best place to study this? So that you're having saying that university students are more mature, definitely, that's a reason. So they have more maturity. They will be able to understand it in a way that school children will not, and then you develop that. So good. That makes sense. So far we have two reasons. We only need one. We only need to explain it one time. But they don't need it. They don't need the skill until they're in university. That's perfect. They're more mature, so they will learn it more effectively. That's perfect. Hello, Craig. On the other hand, university students become mature enough, good, to understand about financial things, and it's an appropriate time to learn it in university because after finishing the graduation, they get into a job, so the education helps them to spend their money in a proper way. No. So you're saying that they're more mature. Yes, that part is okay. But then the part that they'll have a job when they finish university, well, no, because they'll have a job when they finish school too. And not all people go to university, so maybe the ones who don't go to university would benefit more if we studied it at school. So no, you can't say that. But the first part about being more mature, definitely. Okay, another plus point, students are hungry about those tips as it will help them in their professional performance and better job, future career. No, because if it's talking about what happens after university, we're not talking about why they shouldn't learn it at school. Well, I think they should learn it at school for the same reason. So how can you tell me that university is a better place? Imagine you're talking to someone who disagrees with you, then they're not going to say, oh, well, at least I understand why you disagree with me. You would say, well, no, I can say the exact same thing about why they should study at school. Okay, so far what you're saying makes sense. More mature. You could say at university they're more mature. You could say that it's when they start to spend money. You could say that they have more free time than the school children do. Like anything which shows that there's some kind of a difference between university students' situation or ability or possessions or whatever, but they're in some way different from school children. As long as you can explain that it should be studied at university for that reason, then that's completely fine. Okay, so we've covered that. I'm not going to write out the paragraph because I've pretty much just described what we would say. So I think we'll get more out of the time left in this lesson by focusing on this. Banks should organize training on this for new customers. So why is this a better method? Why is this a better method? Now, the whole reason why we have to say like university is better than school students is because we disagreed here, right? Because we disagreed here, we have to say why university is better than school children. And that's why it's important to do it in that way. Okay, so on to the next idea and the same task. Same task for you. How can we develop this idea? Banks should organize training on this for new customers. Okay, B. Winkle, managing finances must be taught at tertiary level. This is because learning about finances is very difficult. Is a very difficult task which involves having an understanding of some advanced math and computer programs. Good. This could be easily comprehensible. This could be easily comprehended by the university going students. And then I go full stop. On the other hand, it's quite hard for children to do this. For instance, filing taxes is one such domain which requires fine understanding of income taxes and legislation concerned with specific countries. Knowing about these areas needs one. Good. Is this Lone Wolf? Little Wolf? But that's good response. Definitely. Very good response. So we're talking specifically about why school children should not learn it and university students should. So that's a very good response. Management of finance is, hello Jassa, management of finance is an advanced subject including practical knowledge that university students would find easier to understand than school children. Excellent. They would understand it more easily. That's why they should study it. Excellent. Yeah, that's exactly what we're looking for. So any reason you can think of why university students would be better suited for whatever reason, be it their environment, how much free time, how mature they are, how more easily they can understand it, the extra education that they've already had to allow them understand it, whatever it is, that's completely fine. Staff administration, in my opinion, people should not leave the school without a sound knowledge of financial management. So again, that's too vague. Why do you believe that? why do you think that they should not leave school without that? So you must have a reason for thinking it, but what is your reason? And that's what your main idea would be. So not just the opinion, but supporting your opinion with your idea. And that's like crucial for your task achievement score. So you say what your opinion is. I agree or I disagree. And that's basically what you've said. I agree that they should study it at school. That's essentially what you've said. But then why should they study it at school? That's the next thing. And it's crucial that you say that. Sapita, because they have more experts and would be able to teach customers in a scientific way, which leads consumers to learn about it easily. Yes. So this is in relation to the second idea that the third idea that we're looking at now. So banks should organize training on this for new customers. Oh, I'm after losing my place here. Okay. They have more experts in finance, definitely, and would be able to teach them in a more scientific way. I'm not sure what you mean by that. That's a bit vague. The term is vague, but definitely they have more experts. That's a great one. And it leads which leads to consumers are learn it easily. Okay, so I think the scientific way bit is a bit vague, but definitely they have more experts that would teach the consumers more effectively. Because obviously they're working at banks, they're experts in finance. Brilliant. Yep, that's very good. Hello, Tina. To begin with, learning how to manage finances may be a difficult subject for children, and it is not necessary to know about this. And it is not necessary for them to know about this, since they are still being taken care of by their parents. Good. Obviously, keeping amount of money is rare in a child. So your language isn't accurate, but your ideas are very good, Tina. Obviously, children do not have much money. Okay. Obviously, it is rare for a child to have much money. However, when they become university students, so as a result doesn't make sense here. However, when they become university students, they are away from their families, and managing money becomes a crucial skill during this phase of their life, and therefore it should be taught at university. Good. Yes, your ideas are very logical, very well organized, and make a lot of sense. So for task achievement, you're in a very good position that you can do that. However, you do need to work on your vocab and your grammar, because the accuracy of your language is going to keep your score down for now. So vocab and grammar is going to have to be something that you put a lot of time and effort into, Tina. But task achievement is something that seems to come naturally to you. So that's good. Okay, so we just have about 10 minutes left. We're still focusing on how banks should organize training for these, why banks should organize training for these new customers, or why that would be effective, or how it would work. While I'm waiting for more comments to come in, just in case, I should make a post or something. I will make a post just to clarify it, but I'm moving back to my country next week. So I'm not going to have live streams or live feedback lessons for, like, I'd say it's going to be about 3 weeks till I get everything organized and I'm ready to go again. So this will be my last live stream for probably 3 weeks. So I'll try to put up some other content. I'll still be available. I'll be checking my email. Where am I? This is my email. This is my email address. if you want to contact me about anything. So I will still be online, but just to a lesser extent. I'll be helping the students on my courses. Of course, if you're on any of my courses, then I'll be available for you. But just the free live stuff I won't be making that for 2 or 3 weeks. Okay, Sadaf. More and more young adults in our country are heavily debted because of hefty fees in universities. Thus, it is mandatory by some to educate school children about money management. Yeah, good. So it doesn't respond to the what you've written doesn't relate to the introduction that we have on the screen here, because we've already said that we disagree that it should be taught at schools. So you're not really following the lesson, but your idea is relevant as long as you're not adding it to the question or the answer we're looking at on the screen here. Winkle, furthermore, banks could be the sector which could play an important role in teaching finances to its clients. It is because banks in themselves are the organizations which deal heavily in money. Who better than them could know about finances thoroughly? Don't write questions like that. Don't write questions like that. It's not academic. So instead, just say what you wanted to say. So you would just say, because of this, they will know more about finances than anybody else. So just say the point instead of, using what's that called? A rhetorical question. So don't ask questions like that. If banks teach in this field, not only will people have access to accurate and reliable information, it would also help banks to increase their customers. Good. I wouldn't include the part about increasing their customers, to be honest. Because we're looking for measures to help people improve their ability to manage their finances. So no, I wouldn't put the bit about the bank. That's not relevant. Hello, Sarah. In my opinion, financial literacy is a basic life skill that should be taught earlier at primary level to know the value of money and hard work that is done to earn money. Good. Yeah, good. That makes sense. Again, it's not relevant to it's relevant to the question, but not relevant to the essay, to the introduction we have on the screen. Jassa, banks employ financial experts who would be the best teachers for customers to learn how to manage their finances. These experts have expertise in this field and so know a lot of practical techniques. Okay, good. The development would want to be longer than that, but that's definitely appropriate so far. Good. That seems to be the last comment. Maybe you're all done. That's fine. Now, obviously, all we looked at was the actual introduction, but I've definitely shown you what ideas you would include in your body paragraph. So we've looked at the first paragraph. So there'll be one paragraph about why you agree or disagree, one paragraph about the first measure, and one paragraph about the second measure, and then you'd finish up with the conclusion. But the basis of this lesson was to look at your ideas, see if your ideas are relevant, explain to you why they're not. So you can see, and this is really why it's so important to plan your essay, because if you try to write your essay and you realize that your ideas are irrelevant just as you're finishing a paragraph, you've wasted so much time that you probably won't recover. So planning an essay will allow you to ensure all of your ideas are actually appropriate before you write your essay. So I can't encourage you to do that enough. Like I said, I'm not going to be online over the next few weeks. So best of luck to any of you who are doing the test between now and when I'm online again. Also, like I said, there's my email address. So I am still available if anybody needs me. So until then, take care of yourselves. And yeah, best of luck in the test. Bye-bye.